Let's speak now to pollster and strategist Frank Luntz for more on this story. Frank, it's always good to see you. Just first of all, I want to get your take on what you think of this investigation as we're awaiting the former president to arrive in Atlanta.
It's significant because this is being done on a statewide basis rather than federal. And it's significant because there's so many people involved in this that you've already had the visuals of the mugshots of other people, including Rudy Giuliani, who I once worked for. And it just adds another level of challenge for the president, ex-president, at a time when he'd rather be focusing on the next election. He's instead focused on the last election.
Frank, you speak to Republican voters. How have they reacted to these charges, to this indictment?
Well, I'm glad you said partisan, because there's a completely different reaction. If you're an independent, if you're a Democrat, you believe that this is just one more example of illegal behavior. If you're a Republican, 3 out of 4 Republicans reject the accusations that are being addressed this evening, and they reject the idea that Donald Trump is a criminal. And I'll give you one piece of polling data that has truly shocked me. 71% of Republicans trust Donald Trump more than their own family to give them accurate and truthful information, more than the clergy, more than community leaders. Donald Trump has a level of trust, despite these indictments, that is frankly unheard of in American politics, at least among his own party.
So I want to ask you about some of the other frontrunners for the Republican nomination for the presidency, because there was a debate, as you know, in Milwaukee last night where the other candidates were on stage. This was hosted by the Fox News channel. And the former president did come up. It took a while, but he did come up on the debate stage. And I want to play a clip of what we heard from the former vice president, Mike Pence, when he was asked about his role in January 6th and what happened.
The American people deserve to know that the president asked me in his request that I reject or return votes unilaterally, power that no vice president in American history had ever exercised or taken. He asked me to put him over the Constitution, and I chose the Constitution.
So, Frank, we have now started to see the former vice president distance himself, at least on this question, from Donald Trump. But what did you make of what you saw him say?
Well, I was there. I watched the debate happen. I was right in the center of the audience. And it was remarkable to me that every time that an accusation was levered against the former president, every single time there were boos from all across the arena. That among active Republicans, those people who would attend a debate like this, Donald Trump still has considerable support. But I really have to emphasize that it's as though it's two different Americas. Among Republicans, Donald Trump can do no wrong. He's trusted. They think he's a victim. They think he's being prosecuted and persecuted. Among independents and Democrats, he can do no right. They assume that he's engaged in political activity. And quite frankly, among Democrats, they want him to go to jail.
Frank, just as you're speaking, we're looking at some live pictures of Atlanta Hartsfield International Airport, where we're waiting for the former president to be arriving shortly. Is that why what you just described, this dynamic of two Americas, is that why we didn't see more candidates on the stage take a bigger swing at the former president?
Yes, because he still has a tremendous lead. In fact, to put this in historic terms, if Donald Trump were to lose the nomination, no frontrunner in modern times has ever would have dropped as far as Donald Trump would have dropped. That the odds of him winning that nomination are very strong, but the odds of him actually winning the presidency, it's still possible, but it will be an uphill battle.
Do you think any of the candidates actually had a breakthrough?
Oh, good question. Yes, Nikki Haley. Quite frankly, when she challenged the former vice president, Mike Pence, she challenged Vivek, the candidate, the outside candidate. Her performance was, and she even mentioned Margaret Thatcher, which is appropriate to your audiences, because she said that if you want to make a statement, ask a man. If you want to get things done, ask a woman. And she cited Margaret Thatcher as saying it. She received more applause, more engagement, and she had more positive lines than any of the other candidates. I think she would be regarded as the winner of last night's debate. That said, the real winner is probably Donald Trump. because no other candidate really laid a glove on him. And the closer that you get to the first primary vote in January, and if Trump continues with his lead, I think it could be insurmountable.
So were these candidates then making a pitch to the former president himself, perhaps to share the ticket with him?
Yes, for Vivek, I absolutely believe it. For the other candidates, I think they're simply afraid because, and this happened with Ron DeSantis when he criticized Trump supporters. The objective is to criticize the former president without turning off the tens of millions of people who still support him. It's a very tough thing to do, particularly in a debate, but it's going to be necessary. And I believe that the next debate at the Reagan Library in September will be even more crucial because in the end, if you don't take Trump down, there's no way you can win the nomination.
Frank, one more question. Do you think there's any chance that the former president would actually step onto the debate stage?
At this point, no, and I'll explain why. Chris Christie, the governor of New Jersey, is such a good debater that I could see him forcing Trump into perjuring himself, and that's something the former president does not want to do.
Yeah, Chris Christie certainly has been very outspoken in his criticism of the former president. All right, Frank, thank you again so much for your analysis. Always good to speak with you, Frank Luntz.